Hi, this is Leanne from Global Media Networks coming up with business news for today. So we'll see what we have in the news today. We have some very interesting corporate results with me in hand. And let me start with Commercial Bank. The Commercial Bank first quarter profit before tax was up by 40% to 4.14 billion rupees. Now let's see what they have to say. Growth in interest income on loans and advances, complemented by gains in foreign exchange income, continued to underpin financial performance at Commercial Bank of Ceylon, enabling the bank to post strong results for the first quarter of 2012. The bank has reported a profit before tax of 4.145 billion for the 3 months ended 31st of March 2012, an increase of 40% over first quarter of 2011, while profit after tax for the 3 months grew 38% to 2.843 billion rupees. Interest income improved by 2.422 billion rupees or 27.43% to 11.25 billion rupees, mainly as a result of the interest income on loans and advances growing by a noteworthy 42% to 9.075 billion rupees. They also say that gross loans and advances of the bank too increased and stood at 308.670 billion rupees, reflecting growth of 7.19%. Total assets of the bank reached 474.952 billion rupees as at 31st March 2012. Taken as a group, Commercial Bank and subsidiaries and associates posted pre-tax profits of 4.15 billion for the quarter reviewed, recording a growth of 39.76%. The profit after tax for the 3 months was up 37.99%. And we also have another result with us, and that would be NDB. NDB reports strong financial results in 2012's first quarter. Looking at that, we can say that NDB reported strong financial results for the first quarter ended 31st March 2012 and has made significant progress during that period. The bank revenue for the quarter was 2,064 million rupees, an increase of 611 million rupees, or 42% over the same period in 2011. The profit after tax during the quarter increased by 506 million, or 115% compared to the same in the prior period. And they also say the reported earnings included one-off equity income of 271 million on the sale of its investment in a 100% owned subsidiary, NDB Investment Bank Limited, and one of the 5% direct holding in Aviva NDB Insurance PLC to its subsidiary Capital Development and Investment Company in March 2012. The chairman of NDB, Hemakam Surya, says, "We are excited about our first quarter results. We were able to continue the strong momentum built in 2011 and will seek further growth opportunities for the bank throughout 2012. Our discipline in the execution of our strategies has produced excellent first quarter results. Our focused management on all of our banking operations is expected to deliver solid growth into the future and enhance shareholder value," says the chairman of NDB Bank. Then we also have NDB saying, as a part of the NDB group, the NDB Investment Bank has a positive start to the financial year, showing dominance in the country's investment banking arena by successfully managing the only 2 IPOs to debut in the CSE in the first quarter of 2012. The Axis Engineering IPO raised 500 million rupees, while the Macfoods IPO raised 350 million rupees. Both were oversubscribed on the opening day. The investment bank also structured several securitization deals for finance companies in the first quarter of 2012 and collectively raised over 1.1 billion, asserting ourselves as the leading investment bank in the country. Looking at another result, we have H&B. H&B Group records pre-tax profit of 2.29 billion rupees in the first quarter of 2012. Now, H&B continued to post robust results in the first quarter of 2012, driven by expansion in core banking operations amidst a challenging business environment, with rising interest rates, depreciation of the rupee. H&B's pre-tax profits grew by 25% to 2.1 billion rupees, while the group's pre-tax profits also increased by 25% to 2.29 billion rupees. Dr. Rani Jaimal, chairperson of H&B PLC, said despite the challenging business environment with tight monetary policy and restrained credit growth, H&B performed commendably during the first quarter of 2012. With demand for credit continuing to be very high in the first quarter of 2012, H&B cautiously expanded its loan portfolio, recording a growth of 8% during the first 3 months of 2012 to reach 284 billion rupees at the end of the first quarter of 2012. The loan book grew by 62 billion rupees during the 12 months up to the end of March 2012, leading a 35% increase in income from loans and advances. The foreign exchange income recorded an impressive growth of 71%, driven by fluctuation in interest exchange rate, while other income too recorded an increase of 52%, primarily on the account of the increase in commission income. Furthermore, the contribution from the non-interest income to net income increased 26% from 21% in March 2011. Despite adding 34 new branches to the distribution network during the one-year period up to March 2012, personal expenses increased by only 5%, while total operating expenses increased by 10%. Further, the mark-to-market loss on the equity trading portfolio also increased to 65 million rupees during that period. So, having looked at H&B and having looked at NDB and having looked also at Commercial Bank, we have with us Sampat Bank. Sampat Bank Group, which consists of Sampat Bank and 4 subsidiary companies, continued with the growth momentum in the first quarter of 2012 by posting impressive results in many key areas over the last year, same period. Pre-tax profit of 2,238.2 million rupees of the group of the first quarter of 2012 was a growth of 777.4 million rupees, or a 53.2% over the previous year's first quarter pre-tax profit of 1,460.8 million rupees, with Sampat Bank as the main entity of the group contributing bulk, that is 96% of the profit. Now, the post-tax profit of the group amounted to 1,495 million rupees, recording a growth of 502 million, or 50.6%, over the post-tax profit of 992.5 million for the last year's same period. The bank's pre-tax profit which rose to 2,150.8 million rupees in the first quarter of 2012, reflected an increase of an 802.2 million rupees, or 59.5%, over the pre-tax profit of 1,348.6 million rupees in the first quarter of 2011. The post-tax profit of the bank recorded a growth of 59.1% over the same period of last year. And Sambat Bank also says operating expenses of the bank, which stood at 1,838 million in the first quarter of 2011, rose to 2,132 million in the first quarter of 2012, recording an increase of 294 million, or 16%. This growth in operating expenses were largely due to the incremental cost incurred in connection with the opening of 35 new branches in 2011 and in the increase of 697 in the staff cadre, which too was due to the expansion drive. If I am not mistaken, we have a few more corporate results with us, and that would be yes, we have Valuable Finance. Valuable Finance PLC recently announced its provisional financial performance for the recently concluded financial year 2011-2012, recording exponential growth in profits, asset-based public deposits, and branch expansion. Total interest income of Valuable Finance grew by 86% year-on-year, from the 595 million recorded as at 31st March 2011 to stand at 1,105 million rupees as at 31st March 2012. That is from 595 million to 1,105 million rupees. Pre-tax profits rose to an impressive 404 million rupees as at the end of this fiscal year, ascending 35% from the previous year's figures to 231 million rupees. Profits after taxation too doubled, rising by 114% over the year to stand at 230 million at the end of this year. Yes. Fixed deposits form an important role as a part of the portfolio, with the public's increasing trust in the financial arm of the powerful Valuable Group. Total deposits, which were 2.5 billion rupees last year, grew significantly by 51% to reach 3.9 billion at the end of March 2012. The young company is headed by some of finance's most respected personalities, including Lanka Pereira, Sumit Adihetty, and Nimal Pereira. I came across one more result. Yes, and that would be Ceylon Grain Elevators PLC. Ceylon Grain Elevators net profit during the first quarter of the year 2012 has seen a massive drop compared with the same period of last year, owing to high cost of sales and also the exchange losses. Issuing its interim financial results, the firm says net profit during the first quarter of this year recorded a sum of 0.58 million rupees compared to 94.33 million achieved during the first quarter of 2011. This is an year-on-year decline of 99%. Ceylon Grain Elevators also says that its cost of sales during the first quarter of the year 2012 has gone up by 43% compared to the same period of last year. Looking at more news, looking at a little bit of some political news, we have Sri Lanka's former army commander Sarath Fonseca will be released on Friday, the government sources told LBT. jailed former army commander of Sri Lanka, Sarath Fonseca, who led the Elam war against the Tamil Tigers and helped win it, is to be released shortly, a media report stated. We will release him soon, Sri Lankan President Mahinda Rajapaksa told the Hindu on the sidelines of a function organized to launch a book, Gota's War, yesterday. Now, Gota's War, there is actually news on that as well. Yes, Sri Lanka saw the launching of a book titled Gota's War. Now, Gota's War, which describes the crushing of the LTTE. The book is named under the Defense Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who played an instrumental role in wiping out the LTTE. The launching of the book, which is authored by C.A. Chandra Prema, took place at the Water's Edge in Basramunda. President Mahinda Rajapaksa took part in the event as chief guest, while Secretary of Defense Gotabaya Rajapaksa was the guest of honor. So with that, let's look at what today's papers has got to say about what's been happening. Yes, the historic first ever maize shipment sails out next week. Now, Sri Lanka's latest export commodity, maize, will see its first shipment taking place next week, with maize exporter has set an ambitious target of 550,000 metric tons by the end of 2012. The Ministry of Industry and Commerce, under which the Sri Lanka Export Development Board functions, has set an ambitious national export target of $20 billion by 2020, and we are now looking to further diversify our exports basket. Ministry of Industry and Commerce Rishad Baduddin welcoming the latest addition to Sri Lanka exports basket. That's a very interesting article. Design Group 5's architecture wins top Asia Pacific Property Awards. Now, what is this? This is the Design Group 5 International Limited was a double winner at Asia Pacific Property Awards 2012 held recently in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, for the innovative and creative design of the People's Leasing PLC headquarters building in Maradana Road, Borella. The awards held annually recognizes superior architectural and interior designing across the Asia Pacific region. Yes, something very interesting would be the Mercedes-Benz Pageant 2012. Now we see that the Mercedes-Benz Pageant 2012 was held on Sunday at the BMICH. Now this was an exclusive informal family gathering of all Mercedes-Benz owners and their families. Over 350 vehicles were on display, with a large number of enthusiasts in attendance. And there are some very cool cars displayed here. Oh, looking at some global news, we have The Avengers, the movie. The Avengers, a smash hit movie about Marvel's superheroes who team up to save the Earth, crushed competitors for a second weekend with a record of $103.2 million in US and Canadian ticket sales, and was poised to top 1 billion worldwide, studio estimates showed on Sunday. And Avengers is right now being screened in Sri Lanka as well, at the Majestic City and the Liberty and the Savoy. Living in the lap of luxury, the corporate launch. Now, for all those top corporate executives who demand a touch of class while boiling off steam after a hard day's work, the corporate launch was officially declared open by Excel World recently by Brown and Company PLC Deputy Chairman Ajit Devasundara, offering a range of unrivaled recreational and relaxation options to those who deserve it. The benefits include the state-of-the-art virtual golf simulator, a cozy lounge, expertly crafted billiard and snooker tables, latest TVs with Wi-Fi zone, as well as a fully stocked bar with and F&B services along with an ambience designed to soothe the mind and body. Another new concept was the Blue Room was also inaugurated on the same day. It caters exclusive and superb ambience for the corporate lounge members, and others have the top-level evening sessions, business or private. Furthermore, it offers great discounts and deals for its exclusive clientele, making it the ultimate stop for a busy corporate country. Yes, and we see that Europe Day was celebrated, commemorating Europe Day, an annual celebration of peace and unity in Europe, which was observed world over last week. The delegation of the European Union to Sri Lanka and the Maldives hosted a reception at the Hilton Colombo residencies, and it was well attended by local and foreign dignitaries. Looking at one more world news I have with me, let me before we move on to world news, we can take a look at the stock exchange announcements. That's the CSE announcements. Looking at the CSE announcements, we have yes, Mr. S.H.M. Rishad, Chairman and CEO of PC House, purchased 150,000 ordinary shares on the 14th of May 2012, which was yesterday, between the share price of 650 and 7 rupees. And there was another disclosure of Mrs. W.M.M.S. Shamila, the wife of Mr. S.H.M. Rishan, Deputy Chairman of Orient Garments PLC, has purchased 520,000 shares of Orient Garments PLC, and the shares were purchased at the price between the price of 12 rupees 50 cents to 14 rupees 50 cents. Having with us another disclosure, it is again Mr. S.H.M. Rishan, Deputy Chairman of Orient Garments PLC, has purchased 10,000 shares in the above company, which is Orient Garments PLC, as per the following details. He had bought per share at a price of 14 rupees 40 cents to 15 rupees. And again, another disclosure by Mr. S.H.M. Rishan, Chairman of PC Pharma, had purchased 65,100 shares of PC Pharma at the share price of 10 rupees 50 cents to 13 rupees. Moving back to the global news that I was talking about, we have palm oil slumped the most in more than 14 months on concerns that an escalating debt crisis in Europe and a deepening economic slowdown in China may curb demand for commodities. July delivery palm oil lost 3.8%, the most for the most active contract since February 23rd, 2011, to end at 3,150 ringgit a metric ton in Malaysia derivatives exchange, the lowest close since February 2010. since February 10th. Sorry. European officials began to weigh the fallout of a possible withdrawal of Greece from an euro area, even as authorities in Athens struggled from a government strengthening the dollar as a haven. China on the May 12th said it would cut down the amount lenders must set aside as reserves for the third time since November. Now, palm oil for September delivery slid 1.8% to close at 8,286 won a ton in Dalal Commodity Exchange, the lowest for the most active contract since March 7th. Soybean oil for the same month fell 1.8% to close at 9,390 yuan. Now, with that, I would like to round up the news for today. Thank you very much for listening, and see you again tomorrow.